Happy New Year to you as well. It's great to see you as always, decked out in the yellow and the green.
Yeah, constantly. That's how we do it out here, Pacific Northwest. We have a severe passion for it. This is the first year we're not going to go to a bowl game for the family. Been years and years and years. My boy is in high school, and every single year at this time, this is the time you're going. You're going down there. You're having a good time. This would be a great year with Iowa State. Obviously, their first New Year's Six bowl, and it would have just been such a fun time for the fans and pageantry. I think that's kind of one of the things that we really missed out on this year. You know, the fans that go to games and season ticket holders and everything else. That's really what we are there for. Just all that showcase of what is great about college football.
And we're talking about this going as far back as what? As a family tradition?
Well, my family's gone to bowl games since, Oregon started going to bowl games in 1989 in my lifetime. My family's gone pretty much from 1990 all the way through. I went to that Rose Bowl in 1994 and pretty much have gone through pretty much every single bowl all throughout, or most all of the bowls. Some family member has been to most all of them. My son has been to his whole life. So he's seen every single one, pretty much his whole life. So it's pretty cool family affair. And I think that's also important to understand. That happens everywhere across the country. There's those dedicated fans that are multi-generational families, that multi-generation people went to the same college, and you have that kind of connection. So grandparents go with aunts and uncles, and that's kind of how it was for me. I went a lot of times with my aunt and uncle, and just great times, man. Great times. But we'll be back. They'll get back at it next year. Next year, I do feel like is going to be a regular season.
A few Fiesta Bowls come to mind for the Oregon Ducks. A Kansas State meeting about 8 or 9 years ago, something in that range. And then, of course, the Colorado game back when it was played outside in about 2001, 2002.
Yeah, the Kansas State game was an absolute all-timer. That was the DeAnthony Thomas kickoff return. Super fun time. This game reminds me a lot of that game. Kansas State was very excited to be there. Oregon was very excited to be there, but it felt like, obviously the times have changed with Oregon. They don't have the speed offense like we do now. I think this is a real in the mirror matchup. I think you're going to bring power with Iowa State. I think you're going to bring power with Oregon, but it's just the fan base, the fun times of that bowl week. You have all those different episodes where, you have the band come out with the cheerleaders. They come out for luncheons. They come out for, the walks and everything out, the parades and everything that these bowl events have. And it's a very fun time, man. So I think a lot of people have kind of grown away from going to games. They're the big screen TVs, the coverage, everything is on television, and they can sit in their homes and relax. And I think there's still a lot to be said about seeing it live.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the game we all love each and every day, 24/7, 365 with guys like this. Ryan Winter, one of the very best. Please check out his YouTube channel, Sports Chat 503. Sports Chat 503. You can do it right now, right after you watch the video. Check his workout there. He has a good time with us. We appreciate his content and him showing up and giving us a good time and dropping some knowledge as well on the Duck.
Absolutely.
So we've got two teams here, and you mentioned Iowa State being excited. Win or lose, this is going to go down as their best team in program history. They're ranked 10th in the nation right now. They've only been ranked in the final AP poll twice. 1976, their best ranking ever, number 19, and they just barely sneaked into the final poll in the year 2000, 20 years ago, number 25. So this is historic stuff for Iowa State. On the Oregon side, I guess we can have this debate as is being waged in the Clemson-Ohio State game, rust versus being fresh. Oregon only with the 6 games under their belts. Iowa State played about as complete of a season as anybody in the country with 11 games, including the conference championship game. So just your thoughts about the Ducks with that 4-2 record, only 6 games in.
Yeah, very strange year. Again, I think that from the beginning we've said it's an asterisk. We're just trying to play it out here without having the strength of schedule with the West Coast. What we're just playing the Pac-12. We didn't really have that great of a showing with our teams this year nationally, so we really didn't get to showcase a lot of great games. I think Big 12 early on in the season, a lot of eyes were on the Big 12, SEC. Those were the big brand names that were playing. Obviously ACC as well, but I think a lot of eyes were on early when Iowa State beat Oklahoma. I think a lot of people watched that game, and it was a showcase game at that point in the season, and I know I did. And I was very impressed with what I saw with Iowa State. And I kind of feel like Oregon is a little bit more at the level of Oklahoma out here. in the Pac-12. A team like Oklahoma that people tend to overrate maybe early on in the year, and then they've disappointed when they come out at the end of the year with some college football playoff losses now and bowl game losses, whatever. But I think Oregon was kind of in that same boat for a while, where they were the team that people wanted to win, and then they got to the end and they didn't win, and they were disappointed with that, and so they're trying to look for a different team out here. And I think Iowa State just is at the precipice of this. I think they're just now starting again, like you said, best team in the program history with a young team. They're looking to rebuild. They're looking to come out next year with the same sort of energy. And they're at conference that if you can beat Oklahoma and you can beat Texas, you're in the running. So why would you not go for it? For Oregon, having the shortened season, like you said, has barely been detrimental, especially losing those 2 games really makes their season look terrible. I think Oregon was kind of slotted as the team that was going to represent the Pac-12 at the beginning of the year. Turns out that's what it was at the end of the year. They got their team healthy for the most part. They got to play USC at the end. And I think Oregon would have played Washington very well. If they wouldn't have beat them, they would have played them very well. And, it would have been decided on the field that way, which would have been better. But, they ended up doing what they needed to do. They beat USC, and it looks a lot like they did last year. People counted them out of that Utah game, the Pac-12 championship. They played their best game in the Pac-12 championship game against Utah last year. Went in the Rose Bowl and had a real good clash of 2 teams looking in the mirror, both wanting to be physical, and ended up being a 1-point win. It was an instant classic. So this year, I tend to think there's a lot of cachet taken out of the bowl season. A lot of eyes are just on the CFP. And, this might be the next best bowl game.
Yeah, there are certainly critics out there pointing at Oregon saying, okay, they only played 6 games. They lost 2 of them. They didn't even win their division. Of course, Washington ineligible. So they have the opportunity to win the Pac-12. It's a program that if you're just looking at national perspective, once they lost the national championship game to Ohio State, we're off the radar there. They slumped for quite a few years, and then they get back at it with the Pac-12 championship and a Rose Bowl win, as you just mentioned, against Wisconsin. And so if nothing else, we know that this program is headed in the right direction. All you have to do is look at the recruiting and the talent on the field and Mario Cristobal and what he's accomplishing. But this kind of fortifies another major bowl appearance that maybe this program is again here to stay.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a huge jumping off point for momentum for both these teams. If the Ducks win, this is another New Year's Six bowl that they can put on the resume. They can move forward with a lot of momentum going in their offseason. Like you said, great recruiting class, a lot of kids coming in early enrollees. They're going to start this thing off with the spring and really look forward to having a complete season next year with a huge game at Ohio State, second week of the year, which is, again, a major motivation. I think early on this year, losing that Ohio State game was a big, big deal for Oregon. It was a real damage to a lot of people's hopes and dreams. Looking at trying to get NFL scouts to take a look at some of those players, they wanted really high caliber team to put film on tape, and they lost that opportunity. So guys like Brady Breeze, guys like Javon Holland, Penei Sewell, they said right then, hey, well, what's the use of playing against this Pac-12 schedule? No offense to the Pac-12. I do think that the Pac-12 gets a bad rap, and I think there's good football played out here. But I think that Ohio State game was such the showcase game that a lot of the guys said, hey, if that's not on the schedule, we're out. It's not worth it. And I think they made the right call, to be honest. But they limped through a schedule. They got this thing right. If they go into next year with this really big game at the Horseshoe next year with a chance to be looked at as quote unquote with an asterisk, of course, the Pac-12 champion and the team to beat out West, I think that's a major accomplishment. Iowa State, they could have the same thing. They could have a jump off point here, get a New Year's Six bowl win, their first New Year's Six game, and really have something to say in the Big 12 going forward for the next couple of years.
Say what you will about the relevance of these games, whether they're exhibitions or whether they're a big deal to you, but more people are going to be watching Iowa State and Oregon than watch those two teams play the entire season. And that's one of the things that I can't believe that people dismiss when it comes to these bowl games, because for most of these teams, this is the game where there are going to be more eyeballs on them than at any point in the season, and that these get dismissed as exhibitions by some. I just don't agree with. But it's the Fiesta Bowl, longstanding tradition, one of the big six games on the second day of the year. Ryan Winter from Sports Chat 503 here to help us break it down. Ryan, we always appreciate it. Happy New Year. Hope to catch up with you soon, of course.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you. Voice of College Football. Appreciate everything you do for us out here, bud. Have a happy New Year.